All right, hey, good afternoon to everybody. Hey, good afternoon to everybody. I believe the Senate is still in, but we do have Senator Bearden with us. Let me go ahead and give you what our posture is, so in case you're waiting for a bill, or we're going to hear 594 first, since we have, you're that guy on the Teams meeting who doesn't put it on mute. We're going to hear 594 first. I just saw Chairman Crow walk in, so we'll hear 1371 second. And then depending on if and when the Senate adjourns on time, we'll hear 418 or 540, depending on the order of Senator Burns and Senator Anabitarte. I will notice everybody, we will have a committee meeting tomorrow, most likely at 2 or 3, depending on when a room is available. So just to put that on everyone's calendars. So with that stated, Senator Bearden, I know you're familiar with our committee. If you could come up and, Chairman Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry for the interruption, but could we also hear House Resolution 1670, Representative Adenia, because that's the one that was a bill. We put it into, you asked us to put it into a resolution, and that has been done. So, and we've already vetted it.
Chairman Prince, my apologies, but I was dealing with a significant number of bills today in our committee. Was that bill officially moved?
Yes.
Okay, my apologies. I wasn't on the floor. So was the bill officially moved to us?
Yes.
Okay, so I will take that under consideration. It'll be heard today or tomorrow. Okay, but definitely today or tomorrow. You have my commitment to that. Let me just see where we're at on the current agenda, okay? Okay, fair enough. My apologies, Senator Bearden. If you could come up, your bill number, and then also, just to make sure everyone has the proper LC, if you could state that, please.
Well, we're shooting for a third time being the charm. It's Senate Bill 594, Senate Bill, I just said what Senate Bill was. It's a long day, sorry guys. 3LC 492831. This one is a remake from what we heard yesterday, working again with some of the members on the committee, Chairman Crow and Cox we talked with, working with PAC. Again, Legislative Council, outside council. We made some changes on the bill. One of the things we did in lines 26, or social media platforms profile information to mimic such individual with intent. So we use mimic just like we did in section 2, which starts on line 28. One other one that we took from hearing from Meta yesterday on lines 21. We put such terms shall not include a direct message service. They felt that was important to have in the bill, so we added that in the bill. And then if you go all the way to line 69, actually you can go back to 68. This code section shall not be construed or diminish or infringe upon any right of petition of free speech under the Constitution of the United States or the Constitution of the State of Georgia. And we also make reference again back to section 230, chapter 547 of the United States Code. We try to take into consideration this committee's comments. We try to address those comments to make sure that those individuals and those individuals only that are committing digital identity theft is targeted on this bill. And unless there's any questions, I would ask for your favorable consideration on the bill.
Thank you, Senator Bearden. Representative Kendrick.
Thank you. I was just trying to make sure I had the right one. Could you say the LC number again?
Sure, it's 492831S.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Kendrick, is that it? Okay, thank you. Representative Earhart. Oh, my apologies. Chairman Crow.
Yes, sir. I was just going to make a motion at the proper time, but I didn't know how many questions we had let up over there. So
we have a little bit of a Christmas tree. Maybe more like a Hanukkah bush.
That's okay. Fair. All right, I'll wait.
Okay. Representative Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
perfect.
I think you picked me.
Oh, that's fine.
No, you,
Oh, now, yeah, I'm sorry. Back to regularly scheduled programming. Sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator. And I know that I had to miss the meeting for another meeting. I think we talked about this, so I apologize if it causes you to repeat anything. And I want to preface this by saying there's no love lost between me and someone who is trying to steal someone's identity or commit fraud on the internet. But I'm just wondering, is this a product of someone coming to you or you learning that there were things going on social media with digital images that couldn't be rectified through current laws? Because if it's social media fraud, it's probably just also plain old fraud. And then I know there's several civil claims that exist for misappropriation, for false light, invasion of privacy, all of that. So I'm just wondering why we need this new crime.
Yeah, this came forward from a constituent who went through a complicated pregnancy. Child was born, lived 4 months. The child passed away within days. Everything from baby's images, family's images was cloned. Her identity on the internet from her profile name. Then it was a GoFundMe page saying the baby needs your help and giving us money to help the baby live, which of course the baby had passed. She tried for weeks with the social media platform to get this taken down. Even has submitted a death certificate from the child. Still can't get it taken down. Went to law enforcement. Law enforcement got involved. They cannot take it down off the platform either. And finally, because it was probably going to be a negative story, which it probably was, Channel 11 was able to get it taken down. And so my problem was, while I 100% appreciate Savannah 11's and 11 Live to getting this taken down, the copycats that pulled up afterwards, I found it totally unacceptable that the victim or law enforcement themselves could not get this fraudulent post taken down. So they did steal everything from her, cloned everything, and was trying to defraud other people from financially to raise money off a child that has already died.
Is there anything, I understand that, and I think the lines 48 through 55, I guess, is the part that could keep that, could force a takedown, it looks like, reading and
Yes.
talking at the same time. But was there anything about existing law that law enforcement said, well, there's nothing we can do, this is not a crime, as far as going after the person who did the actual posting?
We did have the prosecuting attorney counsel up here yesterday, I believe they're in the back, saying that this would totally help them address this particular crime. And we worked with them on this bill as well. I'm trying, not the whole bill, but as it progressed, we talked with them, and they said this bill would actually help them on
Representative
addressing this type of
Evans,
crime.
sorry, Representative Evans, would you like me to have Mr. Smith from PAC come up?
That'd be great, yeah, just like.
Is
to know
Mr.
if
Smith
it's
here?
added
Oh,
to it.
Mr. Smith, if you don't mind, I want to open up the podium mic. Can you please introduce yourself? And if you didn't hear Representative Evans' question, she can repeat it, or did you?
Yes, sir. I'm Robert Smith from the Prosecuting Attorney's Council, and Senator Bearden asked me to help out, and this is an issue we've been watching. I think your question was asking, is this not covered by some other laws? In this specific instance, isn't. We do have other tools, but they are round pegs, and this is a square hole. We can make them fit, but it's not a. This is something that's targeted, and it's tailored to a very specific instance. Other things we would have to kind of twist and bend to get it to work.
Okay, as far as the crime, not putting the takedown is one thing. Or you're saying to make it to have something that you could prosecute as a crime. That's the square
Yes, ma'am.
peg round hole. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And then my other last question, I guess, for the senator is it in here that there is a? Nope, I found the answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
No further questions.
Thank you, Representative Evans. Representative Holcomb?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is direct messaging service defined anywhere?
Don't believe it's in the, not this bill. I said we were trying to work with as many people that reached out to us as we could. This was something that Meta asked if we could add in there to make sure that direct messaging services was part of this, and trying to work with everyone involved to make a bill as much as we could with the timing that we went ahead and put that sentence in the bill.
I hear you. My concern would be that Meta owns Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and maybe other things too. And if they know that somebody is abusing the platform on Facebook and Instagram and also using WhatsApp to perpetrate their fraud and scams, which they do because it's encrypted, then why are they getting let off the hook? And WhatsApp is commonly known as a place where a heck of a lot of illegal activity is going on, and then the tech companies just throw their hands up and say, we don't have anything to do with it.
Well, this bill's been changed several times, so if the committee would like to strike that, I'll accept that as a friendly amendment.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Holcomb, are you good? Thank you. Whip Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator Bearden, for the bill. I just wanted to get some clarification, and if you could help me walk through the process as to how this would occur. So, at least with respect to the social media operator, they would be provided 72 hours to remove or to address the situation. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then with respect to the 72 hours notice for a police report, what does that trigger? Not necessarily action from the operator, or
That was, I think you were here yesterday. We moved that from 48 to 72 hours. That would give them 72 hours once they have noticed that there is an active police investigation in regard to digital fraud taking place, that they would remove the content or restrict the content from going out so other fraud cannot occur against other people.
in your mind, would a police report have to be filed in order for the social media company to take action or to begin that time clock?
Correct.
Okay, so a police report would have to be filed.
Yes, that way we show that we got an active investigation into digital identity fraud.
Thank you, sir.
We good, Whip Park? All right, thank you. Senator, I know this is your third time here. We've appreciated the effort that you've made. I do have a couple questions for you. I mentioned them to you, and I just want to be consistent with the committee. The first one is, thank you. Sorry. He took all my notes. Yeah. If you could go to lines 45 through 47. This is effectively both a potential civil penalty to the operator, correct?
Correct.
And it's also a potential issue with the prosecuting attorney or the attorney general, correct?
Correct.
Okay. From a practical standpoint, and I'm not here to defend massive tech companies, but just practically speaking, they're going to be processing billions of records a day, billions. They're going to be scraping the portals that this is being reported to daily with, again, with machine learning, not with human beings, because that would mean they'd have to hire 10,000 people just to scrape those portals, just to read everything. And then they're going to be using machine learning in order to effectively cull down what is and what isn't effectively appropriate to be, as you're saying, raising to the standard regarding I'll say the crime that's being portrayed here. My concern is what happens when we have, quote, a tech company that is doing all the right things, say for 2-3 years, make whatever long-term we want, and then suddenly the machine learning, the algorithm just misses one. Now, is that disappointing? Heck yeah. And I'm pretty sure, I can't speak for them, they would be disappointed too. But to suddenly, after 2 years of, I'll say, good behavior, they suddenly are there. And my question to you is, did you or counsel or did PAC, did you have any conversations around the systematic violation of this by the operator versus just a violation by the operator?
And I think Mr. Smith from the Prosecuting Attorney Council had a pretty good answer. I don't want to misquote him, so if you'd like to
You want to call a friend?
Yeah, let's call a friend.
Yeah,
if
it's
you don't
kind of like,
mind,
what is
'cause
that?
I love our
You want to
friends.
be a millionaire?
Yeah.
Phone, what is it called? Phone a
Phone a
friend.
friend.
Lifeline?
Let me throw a lifeline to our friends in the Prosecuting Attorney
We'll do,
Council.
now, aren't you only supposed to have like one call a friend or phone a friend? And then you do 50-50 and some other one?
Be my third time. I think I get an extra bonus one. Just to be on
It
the safe
rolled up
side.
on you?
It rolled up. So,
All right, Mr. Smith, could you?
I appreciate being viewed as a friend.
Yes.
This is intended to not go after the organization. It's intended to go after the bad actors. But if there comes a time when there is an organization that is participating, could be viewed as a party to the crime, you always have to remember in Georgia that the first time you get arrested, there's an opportunity for diversion of some type. The second time after that, you have the opportunity to enter a no contest plea, which also carries the same effect of not being convicted. The third time through, well, you have your first offender you could use. So you wouldn't have a conviction after that. The fourth time, because this is a 1 to 10 felony, there's a provision in Georgia code that says 1 to 10 felonies can be sentenced as misdemeanors. So the fifth time would be the time when more than likely somebody would face felony consequences. And then still, it's a 1 to 10. So there's no requirement or no mandatory minimum. This can still be done as probation. You still have other alternatives rather than less restrictive means. So this is not a one time and we're putting somebody in prison for a long period of time. There's a gradual spectrum available to a prosecutor to be able to get a bad actor to understand the consequences and to be more vigilant. And I would assume that most companies, and as I said earlier in a previous meeting, when companies became aware of the fraud that was going on and problems that were going on, they have been very quick to partner with law enforcement and with prosecution to be available because they don't have an interest in helping perpetrate these things from happening. So if there is someone who is engaging in a pattern of behavior, we have the tools to stop it. This would be a tool to stop it.
So, Mr. Smith, Chairman Prince, would you mind letting the friend borrow your copy of the bill, please? Thank you.
I'm sorry,
No, it's okay. I knew you probably kept it back at your desk. Mr. Smith, I'm admitted to the bar, but I never practiced a day in my life. But on line 37, it says, except as provided in subsection E of this code section, an operator that receives notice, blah, 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 all the way through 44. It says a violation of provision paragraph 1, which then I think goes back to to D1. Wouldn't that be the operator we're talking about in 45 to 47, or am I reading that wrong? And we have 3 or 4 members of judiciary. I can always call a friend myself.
The definition of operator is found at line 15.
Right, no, 15 it defines it, but then in 37 it says an operator that receives notice.
And doesn't respond, it doesn't take action.
Right.
Would then be set up for that gradual continuum of punishment. Basically, you've been given notice to take something down to stop it, and if you choose not to, it's not an immediate, hey, we're going to put you in prison for this. It's you have that gradual continuum of action that can be taken, corrective action and corrective means. So if you have somebody who does it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, that's what we've been told as a policy by this body as to how we're supposed to operate. We're not supposed to, one time you're out on crimes like these.
Right, but forgive me, let's just, if you don't mind, an operator to me is a corporate entity. It's not an individual.
Yes, sir.
So,
Catch up in.
oh, Senator, it's your bill by all means.
Okay, what we're talking about here in this section is
Yep.
the victim notifying the company, the operator.
Correct?
And they will take, I'm trying to find it exactly, that gives them 72 hours to make a good faith effort to complete an evaluation to determine whether the content at issue constitutes a digital identity fraud. So they just need to let the victim know within the 72 hours period, yes or no. This either constitutes it or it does not.
Correct.
If they do not respond back whatsoever, they would be subject to a $5,000 fine that the prosecutor or the AG could bring.
Okay, so we're saying, I promise you the exact same thing. So
Yes.
my question is,
Sorry.
they're a good actor for 2 years, and it could be a startup company out of Georgia Tech, or it could be, I'm just going to say a big tech company. I'm not going to use a brand name.
Yep.
I guarantee you they're going to fall. They're going to falter. Not because they're intending to do any faltering, but their machine learning is going to falter. Now, the big tech, they're processing billions a day.
Yep.
The guy and gal out of Georgia Tech, I hope one day they're processing billions, but they're only processing tens of thousands possibly. So my concern here is that one trip gets you that versus it being systematic. And it looks like your friend wants to intervene, Senator. Is that okay?
Be fine.
Do you want to intervene? Sure.
It's
We'll
only-
open up everyone's mic.
It suddenly made sense, and basically the operator when they trip up, it's a $5,000 fine. There's no additional sanctions unless we were able to show that they were doing something to enable it beyond, as you said, hey, you get 72 hours notice to fix this and you haven't. At some point, an operator could be deemed to have crossed the line, and then would be something that would be enabling fraud.
But does that go to Representative Evans' point? Sorry, Representative Evans, but I want to open you up too. Did that go to Representative Evans' point about there already being existing code in the statutes?
No, sir, I'm reading from what's in here.
No, I know that, but you just said if it goes further than that, then we can effectively pile on, for lack of a better phrase. Does that go to Representative Evans' point?
No, sir, using
No.
this new law.
Using this new law. Okay. Chairman Kraft?
Well, I think in your example, I think the important parts of paragraph D1 that we're referring back to is on line 40, where it says, shall make a good faith effort. I think in the exact example you're giving, I would think that would be determined to be a good faith effort. If they have a system in place where they've been doing this over and over and over for years, and one gets through or they happen to miss one, I would think that would be, they would still be considering them making a good faith effort to comply with this if they have a policy and procedure in place, even if they miss one. But I'm not admitted to the bar, so.
I am, and I'm not informed. So I
think an argument can be made is we're all entitled to a little bit
Yep.
of grace, and if you have a operator that's had hundreds, if not thousands, of reports and has acted in compliance, and they do one in 73 hours, or one just escapes through the algorithm, there is, and I know it's a dirty word in other areas, there is prosecutorial discretion in making the decision to go after this civil fine. They could just basically say, okay, this is your matter of grace, keep being a good citizen, and we're not going to do anything.
And that's the DA and and the Attorney General.
Have that ability, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
one thought would be, and I am not a criminal lawyer and I'm not on duty non-civil, but there's been enough bills lately where we've talked about the magic words being knowing and intentional. And so I was wondering if we added between the words any and failure on line 53, knowing and intentional, knowing and intentional, so it would read any knowing and intentional failure or refusal by an operator to restrict, and then yada, yada, yada. That way, if you do have this good faith actor, then
It was
Then you
line
wouldn't have a
50
crime.
I'm sorry, Representative Evans.
Yep, no,
It
you're
was
right,
line
Mr. Chairman.
53.
Yep. Between the word any and failure, just an idea, thought to the senator. Because I don't see good, I'm reading and listening at the same time, and that's not very efficient, but I don't see good faith. I could just be missing the words.
Line 40.
It's- No,
Social media platforms shall make a good faith effort to complete an evaluation to determine whether the content's at issue. On line 40.
And that may be I think it's subsection E seems to speak to that specific
That's law
72-hour
enforcement.
thing.
Both of them. One's that the victim is making the request to the platform. On the one that you're talking about, it's now referring to the police incident report that's been received by the operator or the digital platform. So you got two areas that the 72 hours are involved. First one from the victim, second one is from the law enforcement agency that has their own particular portal they go into to make those filings.
And maybe the bigger question is just if we're creating a crime, we probably need to use the words that make things a crime. But I'm looking at you, but that,
Knowing intentional, if,
Yeah.
you know, if the senator's okay with it, you know, my 2 cents is yes. That if that's something that would help move this bill, then yes.
Because it's a felony. I mean, that's kind of a big deal.
There is a default in the criminal code that all crimes are either knowingly or committed knowingly or are committed with criminal recklessness. And if you don't say criminal recklessness, the assumption is with intent, criminal intent knowingly. But putting the word in it's not a problem. It makes things clear for everyone.
What was the recklessness phrase you used?
Criminal
reckless?
recklessness is,
Criminal recklessness.
and 16, I don't have it's 16.1, I think 3 or 4. And the definitions are intense.
Representative Evans, are you good?
Yes, thank you.
Chairman Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Robert, don't go anywhere. You got a big phone a friend today. This is actually just more for my education probably than anything else. But you were talking about 1 to 10 years, a felony that's 1 to 10, you can plead to a misdemeanor. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. In Title 17, there's a provision that says that all felonies that are 1 to 10 felonies, the trial court, the sentencing judge, has the discretion to accept the plea as a misdemeanor.
Okay.
Or sentence the defendant as a misdemeanor.
Because line 33 through 35 has 1 to 20. So I just want to make sure I understand
apologize.
that correctly. A person who commits the offense of digital identity fraud shall be guilty of a felony, and upon conviction thereof shall be punished by imprisonment of not less than 1 year nor more than 20.
I apologize for misleading the committee. I misread this. I said
That's okay. That's why I'm just trying to make sure I get my head around.
Would you like to replace your friend?
No, he's still doing a great job.
No, I would.
I'm loyal to my friends.
If I may, I wouldn't send him back either. Okay, so that was my first question. My second question, and this was one of the concerns big concern I had when it came to the election integrity AI bill a couple of years ago, and that was venue. I see it says a prosecuting attorney or the attorney general, but I don't see that there's a specific provision of what venue that is available. So any prosecuting attorney could pick this up. I'm sorry, y'all. This is line 46, 47. Am I correct in that? As I learn how the criminal system works?
Earlier in the code, if you have Chapter 9 of Title 16, if you go into Article 6, there's an earlier part of Article 6 that sets out the venue for all the crimes contained within the article. At the last committee meeting, we mentioned it there, and it is a very expansive venue section that already applies to this code section without it being specific.
Okay, gotcha. So it's just not in here, but it's just written in general, just not in the bill.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Those were my two of my questions. I guess my last one is, and this is where we've spent quite a bit of time, specifically on the lines 69 and 70. I mean, we discussed the fact that, actually, I guess you really need to pull it back to line 67. It's the intent of this General Assembly that this code section is not to be construed or applied to diminish or infringe upon any right of petition or free speech under the Constitution of the United States. I mean, in other bills, I've seen significant more clarification of that. I mean, again, not being a prosecutor, I mean, do you feel like the intent is really strong enough language to keep maybe someone that is committed election deepfake?
I was going to say that I think this leaves room for an elections deepfake bill to be passed at some point by a wise General Assembly.
Yeah, thank you. I think that was a smart answer.
At least I got one of the three.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Thomas. Chairman Crow?
Yes, sir. Just to Robert, while you're here, and Ryan's handing you an iPad since you don't have yours. The one thing I was going to just clarify to Representative Evans' part, when she was talking about the penalty in E1, I think she said we're talking about a felony. But that actually, if I'm not mistaken, the violation in E1 is a civil penalty, right, as talked about down in paragraph 3 of that same under E3.
Correct.
So it's not a felony. There's not any criminal process for the operator. It's
Civil
only
only.
civil penalties for that portion of it. It's not felonious. So just wanted to make sure I was reading that right.
Yes, sir. That, once again, I might need to defer to Chairman Thomas as well, but I believe that is correct.
Thank you.
And I've got handed in to help Representative Evans. Crime is going to be, the criminal negligence is going to be 16-2-1.
Chairman Crow, can you make that point one more time, please?
Yeah, so there's two different sets of violations, so to speak, in here. There is in part B and C, those are talking about the criminal activity of somebody.
The
who
bad
commits-
actor.
The bad actor commits digital identity fraud, and that is a felonious activity, a 1 to 20-year felony. Then from D and E, that is the operator and their activity when requested in D to be taken down or a claim is made by a person. E is when it's from law enforcement with an official police incident report, and the penalties for that in 2 and 3 are not criminal violations. Those are civil penalties.
Correct.
Not felonious violations.
Correct.
So,
Thank you, Chairman Crow.
yes.
Secretary Earhart? Are you up? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Chairman Parsons?
Thank you, Chairman. I want to ask the gentleman, prosecuting attorney's counsel, or perhaps the author of the bill. There have been successful legislation passed in some states regarding issues about content on these providers, but the platform providers have been giving under federal law a lot of protection and immunity about what they allow their subscribers to put on their platforms. I guess my question is, what do you know? What other types of information have the platform providers been allowed to take off one of their subscribers' posts or their subscription to the platform? I mean, if I put something on there, if I put something on mine, I mean, they are provided by law to moderate that. They can tell me I shouldn't have it on there. I'm just wondering to what extent are the platform providers, if you know, I mean, maybe you don't, but I do know there's been laws passed in other states that have passed judicial review that have related to not particularly this subject, but the subject in general of information that the internet platform providers don't have to take down. There are some things they don't have to take down. Do you know, or do you understand what I'm?
I do understand, and I don't know the answer to your question.
Okay.
I apologize.
I mean, in general, I think that they don't, laws can't be passed that tell them to take certain information down. I think that's what I understand. I mean, I've told the sponsor I'm going to support his bill and let it fly if it gets through here and gets through, and then it can be reviewed judicially and see what happens. I mean, I'll do that, but I just wonder. Apparently, a lot of bills get into a lot of trouble related to this type of thing when they get out and passed and then are challenged in court.
In school, it's one of the age-old thing about that you have the right to say anything you want for the most part, but you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, kind of thing. So there are limitations upon all of our freedoms. I don't know the answer, but I don't know the boundaries of what you're talking about.
You don't need to know. I just thought maybe you would know.
Thank you, Chairman Parsons. Whip Park?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chairman Crow, for just the clarification. Just wanted to kind of reiterate that in my own mind and ask a question or two. So this legislation is creating civil and criminal penalties. The civil penalties would be assessed to the operator, social media platforms. The criminal penalty to the individual who is committing the fraud. And it is permissible for the AG or a district attorney to prosecute both. a civil and a criminal?
That's what's listed in here, yes, sir.
So by statute, we can authorize that?
You can, yes.
Okay.
You have in the past.
Thank you for the clarification. I think I got my mind wrapped around all that. Two final questions as I've kind of done a deep dive through this now. A designated reporting mechanism for social media operators. Are we assured that every single one of them have some sort of designated reporting mechanism in order for these provisions to be triggered? And then lines 71 to 74 with the reference to Section 230. If you could just help me better understand what, if any, of the implications would be in terms of the effect of this bill.
First question, yes. Second part of this, we've had a lot of comments about Section 230 in this committee and this bill. And truly believe you all, 230 gives a lot of protection, especially when it comes to political free speech, and that's why we're putting these two sections in the bill at the end. It's still limited. And what we're doing here is we're not saying anything about the providers as publishers or speakers. Rather, it just requires those providers to review content to constitute digital identity fraud. Anyone contacted by law enforcement under those specific conditions, that police report, to restrict public access. So there's been a lot of discussion around this. I think we threaded it well. Of course, any bill that we make, any new law we make is subject to go to our court system here, all the way up to the state Supreme Court, and could go to federal Supreme Court. But we do make laws on every day, and some of those are challenged, and probably all of them are challenged at one point or the other. So we're trying to make sure that we protect our citizens from being victims of this crime. And I think as all of us do as legislators, working with Legislative Council, try to make sure we write the best language we can to make sure that happens and that we do protect our citizens.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Whip Park, if I could just give you just a thought. Let's move big tech out of this and think about the startup coming out of ATDC. The question becomes is, should there even be a threshold of the size of the social media platform? So hypothetically, and I just saw Chairman Prince in my eye, so I'll use Chairman Prince as an example. I hope it's okay. Chairman Prince and I go to ATDC. He and I want to start a social media platform. We're doing it basically belt and suspenders. So on our credit cards, we just did a second mortgage. We're pretty much mortgaging our future thinking we have a great idea. At what point are you going to burden Chairman Prince and me with having to put up a designated platform or a designated mechanism to basically report this? Because that is going to cost Chairman Prince and me additional capital. So we're going to be starting our business, doing our social media, and at the same time, will we in the state of Georgia be diminishing, in a sense, new social media platforms because Chairman Prince and I only have, say, I'm making this up right now, $20,000 between us to spend, and we don't have the $5,000 to create that mechanism. So again, I don't want to sound constantly like I'm a naysayer, but from someone who has started tech companies, and thank God I'm no longer in the belt and suspenders mode anymore, but I know what it's like to be in that mode, every additional move this body puts on us, I was about to say Brian, on Chairman Prince and me, are you basically saying to Chairman Prince and me, go to the Triangle, go to Research Triangle, go up to Chattanooga versus staying at ATDC? It's a question for I guess, the committee. Okay, thank you. Representative Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and just wanted to appreciate the point from Representative Crow about what is a felony and what is not, and that the operators were putting civil fines on them, and that's an important distinction. But I do think, to go back to Section 230, I think Section 230 is awful. I think Congress never should have done it. I think it's been interpreted way too broadly, but it does exist, and it is what it is. And I think because of it, and I'm not suggesting how anyone should vote, or even I'm not sure how I will vote at this point, but I do think we as a committee should recognize that because we have the carve out about we don't want to run afoul of 230, which we have to do because of preemption, I'm not sure that I feel not good at all that subsection D or E would ever be able to be enforced in court. And I just think we should recognize that. And I mean, it isn't necessarily a reason not to pass it. I mean, hopefully Congress will, in its wisdom, make some changes to 230 in the future, and then that would provide some more teeth to that. But basically, for those that don't know the ins and outs of 230, basically it forbids any treatment of a social media platform for being a publisher for anything that a user puts on there. And when we try to make an operator responsible for not taking something down, we are in effect treating it like a publisher. I think that's how a court would see it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's probably what's going to happen. And so I don't want to provide false hope to the public either that doing this will get them some relief. And I'm also not sure that in that instance, I'm not sure. I don't mean to be Chicken Little here, but I don't want our law enforcement agencies to be getting any wrath or lawsuits back or whatever from these social media platforms because they are trying to enforce something that we have to recognize here today is probably not enforceable. We might be setting them up for problems, and I'm really just throwing that more out for discussion and thought, because I'm not sure it's very responsible of us.
So I'm so sorry, Senator Bearden. You're catching us at a time of reflection. Representative Evans, for what you just said, and I wish 230 was either never passed or they need to go back in, and the 535 of them need to have a conversation, like adults. But at the end of the day, to your point, I don't think D&E passes constitutional muster. Thank you, Professor Rush at the University of Florida Law School, for reminding me of that. And it also, frankly, addresses my issue on the startup ecosystem that we did a massive summer committee on. And for me, I don't want burdens placed on Chairman Prince and I when we're trying to use belt and suspenders to pick up a company out of nothing to ATDC. I'm not going to tell the committee which way to go, and I don't know where the bill sponsor would be, but a removal of D&E for me would start to quickly address my major concerns. Any other comments or questions? Senator, do you? Oh, we do. Hold on. Chairman Crow?
Yeah, sorry. I understand the point that both of you are making, and don't necessarily disagree to some degree, but I think that doing nothing and removing D&E, I think that's more the critical part of the bill, because a lot of times it may be harder to find the criminal bad actor, but getting it taken down and stopping that the abuse of the victim in this case, right, is more critical than maybe prosecuting the person who did it. That is also critical, but getting it stopped is I think the primary thing that we're really trying to do here. I don't know what the courts would decide as far as 230 as it relates to this, but I think that having the operators know that there is some possibility and opportunity would urge them to act as they should anyway. And then on the part about the designating mechanism, I don't think it strictly talks about it. On line 58, it just says submitted through a designated mechanism for processing law enforcement requests. Any platform like that is going to have a way to submit a comment or a question or an email or something like that. And so I think they could designate that the mechanism, just some way to communicate with the operator themselves. I don't know that would be, in my mind, it wouldn't be overly burdensome to have a way to submit that. If it's a small operation, they can have all communication go to one place, and then as they grow, they could separate that out into other links. So that's just my thoughts on those two things.
Thank you, Chairman Crow. I appreciate your perspective.
And
I think it's Chairman Gullett. Oh, Representative Earhart.
Yeah. On the issue of the designated access method, I think we discussed that at the last meeting, if I recall. My understanding was that they're going to have a designated method for individuals like myself to report, but isn't there also possibly a separate portal for law enforcement?
Correct.
My understanding is that they use that portal to report crimes, and possibly even, do they also use that for, actually I had a case one time where law enforcement subpoenaed a social media platform to get records of someone who had made a threat. I believe they use something like that, so correct me if I'm wrong.
According to the platforms, it's a lot quicker by using the portal, but they also said sometimes they'll mail it, and that could be going overseas, and that's why it takes longer to get some of these things done. But if they use the portal, it would be done quicker. Unless there's other questions, I was just basically closing. If we are concerned about a law that we make in the General Assembly going to court and being overturned, we'll never make any laws. Because it's a possibility that every piece of legislation that we pass out of this body, and I understand what you say about a small business, but also small businesses should be held to a basic standard of responsibility to the public that they're serving. And I don't care if it's a company that just decides to start in trash pickup or a company that turns into a multi-billion, trillion-dollar company. There is a basic responsibility they owe to the public. They're allowing them to use their platform.
Chairman Gullett.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, I think, what the senator's saying. There's situations here that are happening that we can't be afraid to address them. And I haven't heard of a situation, another way to address them than what he's offered today. Judges are going to judge, and they're going to do their thing if that goes to that. But our job is to make the laws in the best ability that we have, with the understanding the Constitution the best that we do. And so, but we're not in the job of interpreting it like the judges are. So, with that, I'd like to make a motion to pass.
I have a motion to do pass. I have a second. Any discussion? Representative Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a proposed amendment, which would be to strike from lines 37 through 66. And before you ask for a second, if I could, not because I don't want this stuff down. I mean, in my job outside of here, I spend a lot of time working with folks who have things said about them on social media and in the media that they want down, and I work really, really hard in court to do that. But there are a lot of things that keep me from being able to get those things down. And what I am afraid that we are doing here with D and E is giving false hope to the public that law enforcement, including our well-meaning DAs, including our well-meaning Attorney General, because they would ultimately be the ones that would have to push. If a social media platform doesn't take something down, it would be up to the DA, it would be up to the AG to prosecute a case and do something about it. I don't want to put them in the position, because they will know that they would lose that, I believe, because of 230. And I don't want us to put them in the position of having the victims blame them for not taking action that they know in good faith that they can't take. And that's the reason behind the amendment. Is not because I don't want that, but I think that has to happen at Congress. And this is not, I get also that, we can't look around every corner and know, and sometimes we have to pass things and leave things up to the court, but this is something that we know. Until Congress changes 230, that will be what will happen. And I just think we're setting our law enforcement up for failure, and I don't want to be a part of that if I can help it. And so that's the spirit in which I move to remove those lines. And I make that in the form of a motion.
I have a motion for that amendment. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any discussion? Chairman Crow.
Yes, sir. And again, I understand exactly where she's coming from, but she mentions giving the victims false hope. I think right now the victims have no hope. And I think this is a way to give them some sort of resolution and to give some teeth to the prosecutors that go out and would be able to prosecute this. If we wait around for Congress to take action for us to do certain things, then as he said, we're going to be here a while. It's the same with trying to decide if we're going to pass legislation based on what the court's going to decide to do with it. And I think that this is a mechanism that would give our DAs and our Attorney General some teeth to reach out to. You know, my prayer is that none of these ever go to court, but that would give them something that they could look to say, hey, this is our intent in Georgia for people who are being victimized by this, for you to take this down. And I think it's a worthy goal.
All right, thank you, Chairman Crow. Representative Kendrick.
So I just want to clarify.
Is this a question on the amendment, Representative?
Well,
I'd like to keep the conversation just to the amendment right now, if that's
yeah,
okay.
it is to the amendment.
Okay.
It's to follow up to
Okay.
Representative Crowe.
Of course.
It's my understanding that to Pac's point, or to Mr. Smith's point, that the prosecutors have the tools right now under current law to prosecute these types of activities. They're just harder. Now, if I misinterpreted that, somebody please tell me, but it's my understanding that they have the tools to prosecute under with this type of activity. It's just harder to prosecute, and so this law would just make it easier, but it's not saying that if we don't pass this law that prosecutors can't prosecute this type of activity. Did I misunderstand that?
I don't want to speak for Chairman Crow, to be completely frank with you. So I'll let him answer himself.
Well, and I certainly don't want to speak for Mr. Smith. You know, so far with my years on Judy non-civil, I'm only exempted 2 years of law school. I haven't gotten the whole thing done yet. But I think if I understood him correctly, the prosecution for the digital identity fraud part is maybe the part that there are ways. There is a round peg you could fit into that square hole. This portion here, I believe, is the part that they really don't have any teeth in to get the operators to take them down. And Mr. Smith, if you want to, or if you don't, if you just want to nod, or you want to do this, or you just want to sit back there and not do anything, that's fine. But that was my understanding of it, is that the civil part of it right now, there's not anything that they have any arrows in their quiver, so to speak.
He just raised his eyebrows, so I'm going to assume he means just criminal. Could you? I'm sorry. People are watching. We need to have it somewhat recorded.
I understand. I respect that. I also respect the posture of them, and I don't want to speak out of turn.
No,
because
only on the amendment, if you don't mind, and if you could respond to Chairman Crow, please.
specifically to the question, what we have right now to basically to do this would be an argument that it'd be the financial defraud crime that you're familiar with. That would be what we're trying to be used for this, which doesn't always fit the activity. And if it doesn't fit the activity, it makes it very difficult. And to borrow a phrase, it makes it very dark in terms of hope for a victim. And also, yes, there is no civil enforcement action towards the operator. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Oh. Thank you, Mr. Smith. I appreciate it. Representative Evans?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to the committee, that my proposed amendment goes only to actions toward the operator and would not affect anybody's ability to vote on the underlying bill, which is to create the crime against the ultimate bad actor, the poster.
Thank you,
I just wanted to
Representative.
make that clear. Yeah.
Thank you, Representative Evans. And I think it's Chairman Gullett. But
Yeah, just want to say, I appreciate Representative and her desire to make sure that we're not giving people false hope. I think that's important. But at the end of the day, our district attorneys are big boys and girls who get paid a lot of money and have a lot of responsibility. They're putting people to death sometimes, or they're prosecuting people's lives, potentially. There's a lot of responsibility with that. And with responsibility comes making tough decisions. And if they see a bill or they see a law that they don't think they can prosecute, the reality is they have to make that prosecutorial discretion and do it fairly and explain that, I think, to the families. Hey, I'm sorry, this is not something I think we can prosecute in a transparent way. And I think that's what's important. And worrying about their situation is less important to me than worrying about if it, making sure these families are whole for situations that they're put into. So, and that's really just my thoughts on that.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I think at this point we've exhausted comments and questions. I have a motion. I have a second. I'm going to repeat it, and Representative Evans, if I say it wrong, please let me know. But the amendment on the table is to remove from lines 37 through line 66. Is that correct, Representative Evans?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you so much. I have a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Division, please. Sorry. All in favor, right hand, please. I have bad hearing. My apologies. All opposed? Motion carries. 37 through 66 are removed at this point. Are there any other comments or questions regarding the underlying bill? I believe I have a motion and I have a second on the underlying bill amended with the removal of 37 through 66. No questions, no comments. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Mr. Bearden, you move on to rule, sir.
Thank you for the committee. I feel like I gave birth to the platform. So, but I appreciate all the time that we put in this.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Chairman Crow, would you like to stay there or there? It's completely up to you, sir. Oh, you're more than welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This will hopefully take much less time and be much less controversial. And will have hopefully nothing to do with the federal government. House Resolution 1371 would seek to create a House study committee on code revisions for autonomous vehicles. I think that, all of us driving around Atlanta now have probably had the opportunity to pull up next to a Waymo, look over into it, see no one sitting in the driver's seat, and then watch it drive away. And for me, having spent a large part of my life in law enforcement, I often think if something happens, who would I write the ticket to, or how would I handle that? And so the thought behind it is those vehicles are not going to get less. I saw a Zoox mapping vehicle driving through the city yesterday, so Zoox will be here probably next year. That's an autonomous vehicle service by Amazon. You've got Tesla, robo-taxis, cybercabs. You've got a new venture with NVIDIA and Uber that's coming. So the point of that, Mr. Chairman, is that there are going to be more autonomous vehicles on our road, and I think that it is a good idea that we go ahead and take a look, see what other states may be doing, and try to wrap our minds around what revisions we need to make to our code to account for these things if and when there are issues that we need to address that maybe our code doesn't account for now. It's pretty straightforward study committee. The one thing I would highlight, though, is that the members and the officers, there'll be 7 members of it proposed, and it would consist of the chairman of the House Judiciary Non-Civil Committee, the House Committee on Motor Vehicles, the House Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security, and the House Committee on Technology and Infrastructure Innovation. And so that, I think, would get most of the folks in the room. And then there would be 3 others that would kind of touch this area of the law and try to figure out what we need to do. As I've told you, I'm a proponent of the technology. I think that it's going to be, probably beneficial at some point, but I want to make sure that we and our code is prepared to handle it as it continues to grow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe you have one question. Representative Kendrick?
Yes, would you be opposed to requiring that 2 members be from the minority party?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
I offer that amendment.
Representative Kendrick, can you make that at the appropriate time, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I was about to say you have nothing else, but you do. Chairman Prince? Oh, okay, thank you, Chairman Prince. Just one quick question. Chairman Crow, we had discussed the idea of at least contemplating micro-mobility as we were looking at AV. Would you be opposed to a potential friendly amendment where we talk about in line 13, where it says such provisions to autonomous vehicles and to make recommendations for code second revisions, updates to ensure the safe operations of AVs in this state, including but not limited to micromobility and clarifying, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, inserting micromobility in there.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Okay, at the appropriate time, I'll make that amendment. Right now, I don't see anything else. Chairman, I was just about to recognize Chairman Prince for a motion, so he had to take a call. Oh, Representative Train.
No. Thank you for this resolution, Chairman Crow. As an owner of a semi-autonomous vehicle that may or may not have been pulled over, this, I think, is very much needed, as the officer was confused as to how to handle the ticket.
So was that just a comment, sir? No question. Okay, I appreciate that. We stand poised for a motion, and the person who's going to make the motion just took a phone call. I got due pass. I have second. I have a second. Representative Kendrick, I'm recognizing you for an amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion to add after line 32, I strike the period and add, and shall also designate 2 members from the minority party.
I'm going to phone a friend real quick, Representative Kendrick.
Okay.
Are we okay with that?
Does that include the 7 members that are already on there?
Yes, it's included. So it wouldn't be 9 members.
Is that wording
it'd be
okay
same
to take a
7.
motion on?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion or questions about the amendment? Hearing none. Representative Kendrick, I heard you made the motion. Is there a second to Representative Kendrick's motion?
Second.
Any discussion on the amendment? I see none. All in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, we're amended on Amendment 1. On Amendment 2, I'm going to have to phone a friend. Oh, I apologize. Whip Park?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but on line 14, after the comma of the word "to," inserting the word "micromobility."
That's exactly where I'd like to be. Lead Council, does that work for you?
On line 14, after but not limited to.
But not limited to comma, micromobility, and then it just keeps moving from there. Is that acceptable? Whip Park, thank you for making that motion. Is there a second to Whip Park's motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the underlying bill with Amendment 1 and Amendment 2, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Chairman Crow, you move on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And at this point, I'm so sorry, has the Senate adjourned? Does anyone know? The Senate's still in? Okay, thank you. So we're going to move 418, 540, and House Resolution 1672 tomorrow. We have a room for 2 hours. Hopefully, it will not take that much time. We're adjourned. Thank you.